Hey all, here OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at the iSteady X. This is a portable gimbal for smartphones, and if you're unfamiliar, gimbals are an accessory that you can use to make video recording more smooth. The mechanics of the gimbal is able to really reduce the amount of shakiness that you get by compensating as you're moving in one direction, for example, using the electric motors to pull in the other direction. So it's going to be great if you do a lot of vlogging. Now, this isn't the first time that we've checked out a gimbal, the other one being from ZY. It was the Smooth Q that we reviewed from about 2 years ago, and it works really well, except most gimbals actually take up quite a bit of space, and it's not the most convenient if you're always on the road and you want to travel lighter because it takes up quite a bit of space and weight. So that's why I was really compelled by this iSteady X because of how much smaller it is by comparison. It can fold up, and finally it's a discrete gimbal that you can tuck away really easily and won't draw too much attention. Works with any smartphone. It is a 3-axis gimbal, smaller even than a water bottle. Smart features that you have through access with a companion app that you can download and connect it to the phone allows you to do things like face tracking. It has a 2000 milliamp hour capacity that will claim to last up to 8 hours. And then inside here we have the mini tripod right on top. So this is going to be useful if you aren't kind of carrying this in your hand like a selfie stick in a sense, but instead you want to put the phone or your camera in a stable spot. A nice little lightweight accessory. In terms of charging, it uses a standard Type-C port. Then we've got just the iSteady X itself that we'll take a closer look at later on, followed by a little lanyard strap that you can use to hook it onto your wrist. A soft carrying pouch branded by the company, and it's a very soft one that is quite compact. We can see how the entire gimbal is actually not that much longer, so it's super lightweight and easy to just take with you. Final contents include a quick user manual that goes through the various features, a closer look at the design of the gimbal. The faceplate here does have a aluminum accent on it, and otherwise there's various controls like tapping once to begin recording video or capturing an image once you have it connected using the companion app. You can also tap on this key to turn the gimbal on, and after you have it powered on, you can also tap again to control things like the orientation. If you want to flip the camera in portrait versus horizontal mode, the motors can do that for you. LED lights here will tell you the battery status, the connectivity, as well as you can use this joystick to change the orientation of the motor manually. If you want to pan left or right, up or down, you can do that yourself, as well as some zoom controls can even be found on the side, making it easier to hit, which is a pretty convenient function. Although on your phone, that's probably going to be digital zoom, although it's still neat to have that. It's all connected using Bluetooth. Otherwise, the bottom here features a standard tripod mount for attaching it onto that little tripod or other standard ones if you want to elevate the height, and the handle here feels pretty comfortable. The side features a Type-C port for charging. There's a warning sticker in the rear that tells you how to set it up. Lanyard strap is on the base there, and there's also the X logo imprinted on there. Top here does have a few more metal accents going on, but the overall construction is polycarbonate plastic, but does feel pretty well built and sturdy. Now by default it's locked into place, but you can unlock it just by twisting a little bit with force. Also unlock the hinge here by unscrewing this a little bit, and after which point you can kind of fully pop it into view. It becomes elongated. The arm of course takes up a little bit more space, and then from here on out you can just put in the phone just by using this like a standard holder by pulling on it. Overall, a pretty, I think, clever design in terms of how they were able to pack the same functionality into something so compact and small. Again, this is really a full-size gimbal, but this is as small as it gets in terms of being folded down. So let's take a closer look at the companion app and the functionality next. So as we saw from that video demo, the overall quality is really impressive. It's ultra smooth, sometimes almost seems like you're recording a video on a rail. In terms of setting it up, it's also pretty easy. Again, tapping on the power key for a few seconds, basically it will just automatically self-balance, and you can control it without even connecting it to the app if you want to just use it very quickly. And by default, you can see that it will just slowly pan around as you are moving it with a slight delay to make the footage a bit more smooth. And I can also move it in other orientations. Right now, it's basically still keeping the same position locked by default. I can use the D-pad, as aforementioned, to basically rotate it along the axis here, and it can spin 360 degrees. One click here for switching the orientation of the video from the portrait to horizontal also works really well, and I can also move the joystick up and down to move the kind of tilt of the camera as well. The application here is pretty simple. It says it can detect if there is a gimbal nearby, tap on it, and basically you'll be connected. So let's switch the orientation back into the landscape here. Now if we tap on the zoom keys on the side of the kind of gimbal, you can see it's also responding on the phone's display. Or so we can tap on settings to take a quick look at some of the modes that the gimbal offers, which can also be adjusted by using the buttons using a sequence of clicks. So right now we are in a pan follow mode, which means that you can see the camera will follow the direction with the rotation of the pan handle, smoothen out the movements, but still follow your arm in terms of what you're pointing at. If you want to lock it into place, you can tap on the all lock, and basically now, regardless of where I'm moving my hand, you can see that the camera will be pointing in the exact same position, but it's going to look like I'm fairly stable and just not moving, just pointing at an object or a person. There's also POV, which is all follow. This is basically not really using any of the functions of the gimbal. It just freely rotates in any direction, but smoothens it out a little bit. During operation, the gimbal also remains pretty cool in temperature even as you're holding it, and despite the smaller form factor with the more crammed internals, it still feels pretty comfortable to hold and use. Some other settings that we have here in the software include changing the speed of the joystick movements and motions that can be customized. Turn on gestures, like a hand motion will automatically begin recording, and another hand motion can stop the video. You can also take a look at different filters and special effects, as well as capture things like time-lapse footage. Perhaps the most interesting thing from the software is going to be something called Moment. These are preset special effects that is using the gimbal's motors to create. So there is a mode called Inception that will automatically kind of rotate the axis to create this 360-degree, very smooth video. And there's also a panoramic video mode that will automatically rotate. Looks very steady and nice. We also have a smart motion time-lapse that can also record maybe a frame every few minutes and create that effect on board. Fantastic rotation, similar to the Inception, but rotates in a more wild way is also a very cool effect. And we saw some of these previously in the video clip demo. So it's something that you can do without really having to use any experience. It's just there as available options. If I'm ready, I can tap on the start key, and then it will just begin recording that video, as you can see there in the preset orientation. And then 3, 2, 1, 0, it will then start spinning by itself. And after a 30-second duration, it will stop. You can turn off Bluetooth and save on battery and still use the native camera app of your phone or device if you prefer that, but that will just cut out a few features. Things like the digital zoom won't be available, in addition to some of the auto rotation effects won't be available, of course. Those are done using the software. But overall, a very complete experience and works quite well. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the Hohem iSteady X mini gimbal. This really is a super compact but fully featured gimbal that really does elevate the shooting experience when recording video with your smartphone. It also is capable of, again, producing some special effect videos, which make it great for recording panoramic shots. You can use it as a replacement for something like a selfie stick even. So a lot of different possibilities with this for something that's relatively inexpensive and, more importantly, super easy to take with you when you're on the road. Definitely one of my favorite gimbals here in 2020 and worth a closer look if you care about recording video with your smartphone. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the iSteady X mini gimbal.